truth?
Oh, I'm all ears.
Okay. The truth.
I always tell the truth, even when I lie.
Why do you find it so hard to believe?
Why do you find it so easy?
It's never been easy.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
All I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more.
Hello and welcome to Truthful Talk. I'm Marco, your host. I'm here. My co-host Natalie is with me once again. Hello, Nat. And it's funny. So we have a topic today, and that we want to get to, and we're going to see if we get to it because it's on emotion and acting and how to do that, and yada yada yada. Yeah. But we started having this conversation, which is interesting. We always have some of our best conversations are before we hit the record button.
Yeah.
To go into this. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, why aren't we recording when we're talking about this? And this wasn't the topic at all, but somehow it became the topic, and it was P. Diddy.
Take that.
And just because of I don't know why I missed the era of P. I know the name, and I know Sean Combs. I know the name of the producer and stuff, but I guess I just wasn't in that.
Puff Daddy, yeah.
It's all the same person, right?
All the same person.
And that was in the 90s? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say 90s.
Okay, so 90s, I was in corporate world doing something else.
Gotcha.
I was in a different life. I was probably listening to popular music, like
randomly, rarely.
Like radio pop music.
Background, yeah. And he was there. His music was there.
Really?
Yeah, but then it's in like the rap section. I don't know if you were into rap much.
Eminem.
I don't know if it was really okay. Yeah, I don't know
but more of the popular Eminem style. Yeah. I didn't really appreciate rap, I think, until later.
Yeah.
Until in the 2000s type of thing is when I went back and said, wow, there was really good music then. But no, I didn't listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess Run DMC. If I go back into the 80s.
Oh, yeah. That's how cute.
You start like the Sugar Hill Gang back in the. But it's like, is that really rap, or is that, but then when you got into Tupac, I never really listened to Tupac. A couple songs from Eminem, things like that. I appreciate Drake, even though I never really, wasn't something I went to on the radio.
Right. Yeah. You went to that station specifically, but.
So it wasn't, and there was always a vision that this whole group of, there's like certain, like the rap industry was always very violent and.
Oh yeah, it was huge and anti-police. Like that's how they were colored, if you will. There was a big divide between that rap of that era and the man, if you will. And I even remember, since I had a father in law enforcement and family, like they were very against Snoop Dogg and all of these people. But yeah, there was like if you were aware of it, you kind of knew what was happening. It was a threat to what law enforcement perceived as.
Yeah, it was almost like there was like rap music had to do with gangs.
Yeah.
So there was that tie-in.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was making films, more active in that anyway, to get insurance, one of the questions they ask is this a rap video? Like they would ask if it's associated with the rap industry on the insurance form that you would fill out, because it was, if you're doing a rap video or pornography, those were in the same category of very like a spike in the cost of insurance.
Yeah.
And I was like, rap video? Why is that? But apparently there was violence associated with making rap videos.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it because it wasn't my world, but
not all of them, but yeah, of course, like sometimes one person messes up the whole bunch, like one bad experience or a couple bad experiences messes everything up enough to, put you on a,
And that was weird to me because it was like, I mean, a music video. It's like that who cares what genre it is?
And shaking, and having a good time.
I guess Ice-T was somebody I really listened to. I did appreciate Ice-T back in the day.
I think he was the one that had the song "F the Police." Anyways, and then he became an actor. Yeah, like now he's doing what he's been doing it for years now. Law and Order. Anyways, it's just very interesting where does life imitate art, art imitating life? And if that's just their way of expressing what's happening too. And if you don't like it, change the channel, like certain things that it just brings so much controversy. But it's just interesting that, he's playing a cop, it's so it.
But then we have then all of a sudden this stuff comes out and P. Diddy's not a good person. And
understatement.
Then you start wondering, it's like, okay, well, who knew?
Yeah.
Who else was associated with this that knew?
For years.
And because I'm sure he was associated with a lot of people. I know he had a lot of parties, and everything I'm reading up on today, there's tons of people that might have went to a P. Diddy party just in LA or anything, but didn't go to the after party.
Right.
Right. So they're not, I'm sure he's associated with thousands of people, but not everyone was involved in whatever else he's doing with all this baby oil. So.
That he got from Costco. Oh my God. Supposedly Costco, because they said we don't even carry
it's
baby
funny.
oil.
You said Costco and I thought you were going to say Cosby.
Oh,
and I was like, oh,
yes,
that's another one.
That's the OG of it all, of our modern,
the OG, the thing that
did it all.
that one was traumatizing to me because Cosby was America's dad type of thing.
He was right.
He was Dr. Huxtable.
That was never real.
And that
was a part he was playing.
Right.
Great actor.
And
that's psychotic, but I think it's true.
But it's weird, right? When you start seeing this, and of course, I guess the catalyst to it all was Harvey Weinstein, the 2014 Me Too movement that brought down Harvey Weinstein. Seemed like it was a catalyst to start now bringing down other people in the industry.
It can't just be that one is Bill Cosby. It can't just be one, or it's a culture. And lo and behold, they were kind of right when they were talking about when they're shitting on Hollywood and shitting on over there, saying that it's not healthy what they're doing over there. They're pedophiles, and I see documentaries. I'm like, oh my God, and more things like this come out. I'm just like, what are they doing over there? Not just, they're raping people, they're drugging them, they're putting them in dungeon. It's insane. Lock them all up.
Yeah.
Throw away the key.
Well, it's interesting because is it you brought something up. Is it the people or is it the culture? Is there a culture that can, and I think back to, for example, being in the corporate world, there was a culture to the corporate world that sometimes you just went along with whatever we did in the corporate world. And not that we ever did anything bad, but you would, for example, in the corporate world, there's a lot of drinking. So you drink because to fit in, you have to go out and you socialize and you drink and you talk business and all of this other stuff. But there is that part of that segment of what you did. You went to lunch and you drank.
Yeah.
And, and then you went back to work. It was just part of that culture.
How are you guys functioning?
Right. And you did. You functioned very well. And we wouldn't get drunk at lunch, but you'd have a drink. You'd have a beer or you have one drink. And it's an interesting thing that the culture, I'm even thinking as an actor, I remember back in the day when, I'll try to be as vague about this as possible because I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But it's when I was, I don't want to say up for, I was auditioning for and going into the callback round of it was a movie with Kevin Spacey. And it wasn't a huge role, but it was a role that was with Kevin Spacey. And my agent at the time told me that Kevin Spacey's a bit handsy and likes the, younger actors and this and that. So just be aware of that. And interestingly enough, it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Because of the culture of the industry of, all right, it's Kevin Spacey. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And right, it's like,
right, where do I sign up?
Because there was, I remember in the 80s and the 90s, there was this joke of oh yeah, you have to which producer do you sleep with to get the role or get to the top? And I was like, all right, if it's Kevin Spacey, I could do worse.
And he was the it boy, if you will, or man at the time. He was doing so much and he was winning so many awards. And he's still an incredible actor, watching his shows and movies.
Right. But
how would you not be?
But it was weird that it didn't bother me, meaning it wasn't a red flag. That
You
was,
accepted it.
and it's a pure red flag that we saw as a different color.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Like thinking back, I'm like, how did I ever think that was okay?
Maybe it's group think, or if that's
think
the
so.
way that our, I would say parents and their parents, like the black and white Hollywood days, that was a big thing too. Black and white movies talking about, well, these actresses are just basically they're whores because they've slept with everybody to get where they, like that was the underlying belief system of people thinking, how do you get to the top? And I think that stayed with us still. Maybe now this Me Too movement has kind of cleaned that or washed that.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting because I always thought it was some kind of rumor, thinking like, no way. But a lot of these men, you know, did this, and women decided, some decided to, and some were drugged and whatever it is. But that was the only way to get there. It wasn't that it was based on your talent, but that was the ugly reality of it all. And that was reality then. Like I remember my mother, when I wanted to become an actress, you know, she gave me the side eye with the eyebrow up. She's like, what are you talking about? You know, those women are this, that, and the other. But I don't know. It's just if you don't know, if you're not inside, you wouldn't know, I guess.
And I can think back to when the movie industry was much smaller. TV was smaller, so before cable TV, let's say, or as cable TV was just starting. I mean, there wasn't that much television. There wasn't that much, not like today where we're just inundated with everything. And I can think as a producer and a director myself, you want to work with the people that you're closest to. So if you are in a relationship with somebody, it's easy to get them involved in the projects you're doing because you're mixing those worlds. So back in the day, I can understand, like how relationships would form, I guess, within a cast, or relationships would form within either the movie industry, the theater industry, just because these are the people you're surrounded with day in and day out. You don't have a chance to meet anyone else. So relationships can form, and maybe that's, and I guess I'm trying to figure out the breadcrumbs here. Because if in the dawn of the movie industry, if we're surrounded by each other all day and all night, and then we form a relationship, like a romantic relationship, could that lead decades later to the thought that you need some sort of romantic sexual relationship in order to advance? You see what I mean?
Sure.
Could the initial breadcrumb?
Sure. And I'd call that like an innocent part of it, but I think it absolutely could. It just adds to the amalgamation of the mess that it becomes if it's dysfunctional. But I do think that there are positions in almost every job that kind of leave it open to people who want to take advantage of. If they can slide their way there and they're in a position of power and they can take advantage and they want to, and they will. I think that's just their DNA. And I think that those positions of power are what, not just the Me Too because of Hollywood, but every other job that's out there. There are people that are in charge of other human beings. And if they can get away with doing some horrible things, I believe that they will. Not everybody, obviously, but no, I do think there's psychopaths among us.
I'm trying to figure out, like, where did the culture start? Like, for example, I remember back, when I was in the corporate world, I would date other people in the corporate world simply because I was working 100-hour weeks. I didn't, to go out to, it was before social media. So you actually went out to clubs and I don't even have time to do that.
Right.
So the people that you interact with and meet are there with you in the office, or they're with you in your world. And so that's how the dating begins. So now thinking of that same structure in a movie business as a producer, and you're surrounded by the same people all the time, and whether you're in the office or in the movies you're producing or anything else, it could be like, oh, okay, you start dating. And then because you're dating, you give special privilege. Just because.
Yeah.
And could that have led to the culture of then you need to be dating or sleeping together to get special privilege?
Yeah. I mean, I would say, again, it would be a small percentage of people that would do that innocently, just like, oh, I'm dating her. Of course, whatever it is that I want to give her thing, or whatever, give a position or something. But I don't think that's what these people are.
No, and maybe my mind doesn't work that way. So I'm having a hard time getting into the mindset of, I'm looking for, well, is there a culture that allows it if you're around it? Because, you look back to, for example, Fleetwood Mac. You look back, here's a band that they actually produced a record called Rumors, which is still one of the most successful albums to date, Rumors, which is about all of them sleeping with each other. Like the whole band is sleeping with each other and then having affairs on the side and everything else. I mean, now, again, I know it's 60s, 70s. It's a different whole, whole different time. But it's interesting. The Steppenwolf Theater Company, which is one of my mentor theater companies I absolutely love. But if you read the book about how it started with Malkovich and Gary Sinise and Laurie Metcalf and everything else, they say flat out, well, we were all sleeping with each other. Yeah. And it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And again, a much different time period in our life, and coming off the 60s and into the 70s of, kind of like the sexual revolution and love and peace and everything coming off of Woodstock and all of that. But was it just more open? Was it more acceptable? Because these are people that still get along today. It wasn't the rapey culture. The
rapey culture. The rapey culture. The 70s and 60s had it. It was just very, very quiet. That was all handled behind the closed doors. People that were open, having the relationships, peace and love and all that stuff. I don't like the word incestuous, but that's kind of what they talk about when people work together in certain bubbles constantly. Like everybody's sleeping with everybody. The hospitality industry, like every restaurant you go to, 90% of them are all in relationships with each other. Right. It's because that's who you're surrounded with. They are, and they're whatever, young and they're single and they have carte blanche, but it's the ones who have, the power, I think, the ones who are in charge of those people. The ones who are the Weinsteins that they close the door and all of a sudden it's not a safe place.
So then that's when I guess you have certain people that are in this culture, because the culture could be innocent. Yes. The culture could have started as innocent. Sure. But then you get someone like a Weinstein that comes in and says, oh, okay, I can use this culture for my personal gain. Yeah. Because they're the ones in charge of the whole ship, the whole thing. And when they abuse that, that's when it becomes, Diddy is somebody who was in charge of many artists. So he's the one leading, he's the captain of all of that. It wasn't that he was on the same playing field as they were. He was always, he was always, leader. Yes, he was the leader. So he had power. He had power. He had power. Cosby had power. Weinstein had an incredible amount of power. What is it with the Nicole Kidman, the Me Too about the Fox Murdochs, or those people over there? What's the movie? I see it. Nicole Kidman and Margot Robbie, and but back then they had all the power. If they wanted to get on camera, they would have to go see a certain guy first, and the door would close behind them, and whatever happened. What was that movie? I don't know. It was fantastic. I'll Google it while you think. It's probably a movie I haven't seen. Is it like Wolf of Wall Street or something? It's one of those that I haven't seen. Wolf of Wall Street. I haven't seen that one. So I have a long list of movies that I have not seen. The true story about the women of Fox News. Oh, no kidding. Oh my God. Nicole Kidman, Margot Robbie. Fabulous. Scary. Both of them are so good. So it's an interesting thing, and I guess the interesting thing for me, like, I understand, that's a weird word, but I guess I can logically find the path to Cosby of no one really knowing. Because Cosby seemed to do this like with individuals. Yeah. No, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like there were these big parties that he was having or big anything else. It seemed like this was a date or something. It was like a date, or he'd have an interview. Can't remember what happened on the date the night before. Just happened to drug somebody at a bar. But you look at, obviously with the Weinstein thing, everyone knew what was happening. But everyone just allowed it to happen because it was the culture of the time of that's what you do. And that guy had the power to destroy. If you spoke off about me, they would just, okay, you're fired. That's it. You could make or break anyone's career. But then you look at P. Diddy, and I'm saying these were apparently and allegedly, because I don't know, but these were big parties. Right? right?
Yeah.
The Jeffrey Epsteins of the world. These are big parties. This isn't like, it's not happening in a vacuum.
Right.
This is happening with a lot of people.
Yeah.
How? Like,
In this
how?
day and age too, with all the, potentiality of leaks and stuff for people filming, they must have had insane amounts of security and everything like that and kept it as quiet as they could. But I think even the people that were party goers of the earlier part of the party, they knew something was awry later, but they just didn't want to be a part of it. They just thought maybe it was an adult time that they didn't want to be a part of, not their thing. And then...
Well, I'm sure not everyone was invited, right? Like what was it called? The after parties or whatever he had. He had like the party after the party or something.
It's so disgusting. Freak offs is what he called it.
That's what it was called?
Freak offs.
Like that? Freak offs.
Freak offs.
Okay. There's some things I like not knowing.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so freak offs. When it's so widespread, I could understand how Cosby maybe got away with this for so long because it was possibly in a vacuum. But when you look at, and even Weinstein, I understand because it was the culture of him being the producer.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand P. Diddy was a producer in the music industry, but there seems to be people from all over, like outside the music industry involved in this. He's, but from politicians to actors to business people to, it's like, okay, this is too widespread.
He was part of the fabric of the culture growing up in this past 20 years, 30 years. He was part of that big time. So when someone says like, well, rappers aren't that powerful, I'm like, nowadays, yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Really?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They're like little countries. Like they wield a lot of culture, a lot of influence, a lot of money. Not like they used to. It's like you said, not Run DMC, not that kind. It's they elevated the whole game, the whole thing. So it's interesting.
So this is far different than when a band had groupies. This is like not. This is a whole different culture.
A whole different
thing.
Culture.
And I don't even know everything that got, I can only read so much about Diddy and whatever else. I just, I get the snippets, but it's I don't even want to know.
No. You don't. I just try to scroll past it. And I'm just, because I want the, let's say the evidence or the trial, whatever it is, to go ahead, because if that's true, throw away the key, go see R. Kelly. R. Kelly.
There's another one.
There's the other one. Stuck in the closet.
Yeah, right.
He's stuck in the basement. Yeah. It's put him away. Throw him. If that's true, that's disgusting. Disgusting. And then I don't know if you saw the video of Diddy beating his girlfriend. And that's what kind of opened it all up.
No, I have not.
There was a video out there where this is where he was caught. He is at an elevator somewhere in, I don't know if a hotel or wherever, but the camera was recording, and the woman, Cassie, she's running out, and he comes out, he grabs her by the hair. I think he throws a trash can out. I think he kicks her in the face, and she's dragging her back. Yeah. And that's what was like the impetus to all of this, that she wasn't going to press charges, I believe. And then she decided to, but she only had like 2 days to press charges from when the assault happened years ago, because she says that he's been sex trafficking victims. He made her have sex with other people under the influence and recorded it. And he was beating her and he raped her. And there was like a 10-year, what do they call it? Statute of limitations that she was ending in New York or something like that. And it says like, if you don't report in between 10 years, then there's nothing you can do, which to me is asinine.
That is asinine.
I have no words for that. That's crazy. So that was part of it. So it's heartbreaking. He's a monster. If what he's doing, what I saw enough with the Cassie, that was horrible. Throw him, lock him up and everything like that. But then all this opens up, and that's terrifying.
Yeah. So, man, I don't even know where to go with that or from that. But it's a weird. Do you think that the current culture we're in, meaning the Me Too movement, which was 10 years ago now, the Me Too movement, which started giving women a little more power, and not a lot, but at least was the start of like, it's okay to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I know there's so many people that are still afraid and still, petrified of speaking up, but it started that trend. do you think that's what's leading to the Cosbys and the Diddy and whomever else, like that people are speaking up now instead of before that? No, I mean, before that, Weinstein was doing this for years and years and years, and no one spoke up.
He's another one. Yeah.
So do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think one led to the other, or?
I couldn't tell you, because there seems to be so much space in between. Like, speaking of Kevin Spacey, he was one. Like R.
Kevin
Kelly,
Spacey,
he was one. Like, but it's not like it dominoes quickly. The way, in my mind, I wish it would, let it all fall, let it all burn, because I think that way of treating women and human beings they should all burn in hell for what they did. And it's just, they've been in power for so long. They're the key. They hold the keys to everything. So I don't know if it's just what's happening in, I don't want to call it karma, but it's just like there's a lot of space in between each event. Cosby,
right. Yes,
and then the R. Kelly, and then like Harvey Weinstein. There was a lot. I was hoping that it was like one after the other, get rid of everybody. So I don't know what's happened. I don't know. So I think that people are still, like you were saying, afraid to speak out, and then something accidental happens, like this video with Cassie kind of situation, and it kind of dominoes in its own way.
Right.
And like the cat's out of the bag, and he can't do anything about it now. Well, I mean, he's lawyers, but it's just interesting. I still think there's a lot of poison that's out there. And God bless the women and all the actors and all the women who work in the industry, in any industry, but especially film and television, the ones who are up there, because they deal so closely with this. This is just something that's a fantasy that I don't have yet, because obviously I'm not there at that level. I have my own experiences, and I think that Me Too, what it showed you was that it wasn't just a one-off for you, or a one-off for you and your cousin that lives in a different state. It's like all these women had this experience with, so happened to be just right now, except for Ghislaine Maxwell or whatever, but it had to be, it was a man in charge of power, and this is what they would do. That's what they're doing. So I don't know. God bless what they have to go through. And they're the ones that I think, they're the front line of everything and trying to change everything. And I think it still takes time. I see the Margot Robbies of the world saying we're nowhere near close to where we want to be. And they're the Margot Robbies of the world, the Nicole Kidmans. They're trying to do stuff. But yeah, it seems so far away that there's not much someone like me can do outside of talk about. I'm glad you wanted to talk about this. But yeah, it's everywhere. It's rampant in every single industry I've been in.
Do women have more power today than they used to? They
do have more power, because I think that we're learning how to band together, because unfortunately just one voice is kind of not enough now. It's like we have to literally support each other. And I think maybe it's always been that way, but I see that women are becoming more like we're checking each other out in a positive way. Not that that's my competition and I'm going to do whatever it takes. It's just like, I don't know, there's a check-in that I think that the Me Too movement allowed us to have empathy for another person, another woman especially, because we're trying to do this and get to high levels in the industry. And that's the, reason that people turn around. That's so sad.
Yeah. And it's not that some men don't go through this as well, like with the Kevin Spacey stuff, but it is predominantly women who are the victims.
Yeah.
For the most part, it is the men who are in control and the women who are the victims and even just victims of being
women,
being women, of inequality, of being paid less for doing the same job.
Yep.
For being expected to do things that men wouldn't do. And even in the film roles and the television roles and everything, even in the characterizations that women have to do, the women typically play the victims.
Yeah.
So there's still, even when you're acting, there's things that you have to do that are so uncomfortable. And I've done things that have been very uncomfortable as an actor, but it's usually the women that have to deal with the more uncomfortable things. And, for example, like if we're doing a a sex scene, a simulated sex scene, or like an aggressive like rape scene or something, which you see in movies and TV shows and everything else, for years and years and years, that was improvised.
Yeah.
So, and not that you would actually harm somebody else, but you didn't have it so well blocked out and so well choreographed and everything else, to the point where, it goes back to, so many different examples, but it's where, it would be improvised. And of course, the aggressor, it's easier for the aggressor to improvise than the one being aggressed upon.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So it's an interesting dynamic. And I know now, of course, coming off of the Me Too movement, I think one of the positive things is the establishment of the intimacy coordinator.
Yes.
Which is a new role of someone coming in and saying, hey, let's make sure this is being done safely.
Yeah.
Now, I still don't know if they've gotten that right yet. It seems, they very quickly created this thing that I don't even know if it's working, but the idea of the role, I think, is important.
Yeah.
And it's moving in that direction.
At least it has a buffer that was never there before. And it's a start. And what was I watching or listening? And it's just like, we have to try something. Not trying anything is going to give us the same exact patterns that have been, happening in the past. So yeah, the intimacy coordinator, if that's something, great, let's give it a go. Let's start.
Step in the right direction.
It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And we have to also think of things where, as much as I am a perfectionist and want things done yesterday, like my dad says, I know it takes time. And as long as I see progress, that's all I want, is to see forward moving progress. And then, eventually we'll get to a place where hopefully it can be equal and safe for everybody involved. Because yes, of course, men, also have been victimized by other men in power mostly. But it's a sick thing. It's a sick thing. Very interesting, very sad. Because you would think that those people that hold the key to the next level would be someone that you're proud to meet, happy to be a part of, you're ready, a dream came true, and then, something like that happens. And I can't imagine what that does to one's psyche.
Right.
When they have to give it up because of that, or they equate the artistry with this perversion. And they don't go hand in hand.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know now that, over at the university anyway, when I'm teaching directing, and I teach this, I guess, at TA too, but it's more of the people who are going to be in charge, and teaching to the directors and the producers, that my general rule of thumb, this is like my golden rule, is no physicality between two actors should ever be improvised. So none. So because that's, I think, where it gets out of control is where it's like, okay, you're going to have a kissing scene. So just go ahead and just start kissing. And it's like, well, wait. What does that mean?
Right.
Because there's so much involved, even with a simple on-screen kiss. Where are your hands? How are you pressed together? What is happening?
How are you kissing?
How are you kissing? Yeah. So there's all of these different things. And so this thing called an intimacy coordinator, I think, is so great because it gives the director somebody to talk to and say, listen, this is what I want. I just don't know how to talk to these actors and do it. Because directors are introverts for the most part. Sometimes they're awkward when it comes to talking to actors. And these, for whatever reason, these are uncomfortable conversations for them.
Sure.
So the intimacy coordinator comes in and says, okay, this is what you want. And then we'll talk to the actors and say, okay, this is what we need to do. This is how we're going to safely do it.
Yep.
We're going to turn it into a stunt, which means we're going to block it and rehearse it.
Yeah.
And everyone is going to know exactly what to do, how to do it.
And it takes the guesswork out. It's the translator, the interpreter, the middleman that's trying to talk to between the actors and the director and all that stuff. And I believe you need one. I believe it takes the pressure, like you said, off of the director, because they have other things they need to deal with anyways. But having an intimacy coordinator allows everybody to just take a breath and relax a little bit. Because
so many directors for years would just be, they didn't know how to do
just kiss her.
Yeah, so just kiss or whatever it is, right? And,
let me show you. Hold on, do you want this martini? Wait, just kidding. Sorry, too soon.
Well,
You got to loosen her up first. Here you go. Here's a martini.
I've had that before where someone with a director possibly offered drinks. It'd be like, maybe get a couple drinks first before.
Yeah.
Like to loosen up.
Right.
I'm like,
no. Yeah.
No, that's not acting.
No.
This is something.
The director drank it all. I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's so awkward, the conversation.
But there wasn't the training for the director to know to do anything otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's where we need. I know when I'm training the new filmmakers, part of what I feel my responsibility is like, listen, what I tell them is you guys are the new generation.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be the next directors. I don't know if it's going to be next year, 10 years from now, but you're the next one. So let's start a new trend.
Yeah.
Let's make sure everything you're doing is safe. Let's make sure people are having fun. And I say safe, it's not, to me, it's not just physical safety, it's emotional safety and mental safety, but let's make sure everyone is safe.
Yeah.
And treated properly.
Yeah. It's a big thing.
Oh, man.
Because if the director is doing that and he or she is showing that of themselves, meaning like they're calm, they're relaxed, this is what they expect of everybody. It's going to be safe. It's going to be fun. And the communication is love. It's everything. And I think that's the only thing that directors really should have to worry about. Like, how do I communicate this to my actors or to my crew and to all that stuff? And if they just do it with, I would say, compassion, calmness, a focus that what they want, I think you can say anything to someone, especially if you want something to happen, like as a director or whatever, but it's just like how you say it makes a difference. If you're all angsty and nervous and, you don't know how to communicate, it's I think it's a craft. Communicating is a skill. It's practice. Like you got to practice. That's all, little by little with people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a little crazy. And the whole thing's but I think we do need a change. And I think we're in that area of change. But the only way it's going to change is if the new generation of filmmakers, producers, the old generation's probably set in their ways.
Yeah.
They might be able to change a little bit, but we just have to wait for them to go away.
Hello, not the first.
The new generation to come in.
And we shouldn't have to, I wish in a perfect world, these people would, let me stop being an asshole to people. Let me stop, treating people poorly and let me do right by them. And, I didn't know this was so, inappropriate and wrong,
And, to me, I wish Hollywood or somebody would be a little more, and I say Hollywood, it happens in theater too. So it's really just anyone in the industry. But there is some oversight for any director, producer, just crossing the line of
ethics or something.
Well, I think about like Stanley Kubrick, and I've gone on record many times saying, my thoughts on Stanley Kubrick. And for whatever you think about his storytelling, his visual elements, all of that, that's one thing. But he treated his actors horribly.
It's, the actress, I remember, like he actually frightened her. He scared her to get a real reaction. Like he abused her mentally or something. Yeah,
and that was his. He was a method director, and so which means, for those of you who might not know what that means, it just means that there's a philosophy that if you need to get an actor to do something, you have to get them to do it in real life. Like if you need someone to be scared on screen, you have to actually scare them in real life. If you need them to be sad, you have to actually get them sad in life. It's like it's not what acting is, and it's not what we do. And to me, it insults the art form. But there are directors that were brought up in method or were brought up just not knowing. They're more technical and not understanding that we can get there through imagination, we can get there through process, and we can get there through our art. And so Kubrick would take his actors. So when he did his last movie was Eyes Wide Shut. And when he did Eyes Wide Shut, which is about a young couple, a young married couple who's basically, there's a lot of jealousy involved and they're just on the brink of their relationship being destroyed. So he wanted an actual young couple, which is why he went with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. who met on the set of Days of Thunder, and they got together, and they were that young couple. And Stanley Kubrick slowly and methodically destroyed their relationship in real life so he could get what he needed in the film.
So gross.
And it's right. And that's the thing. And so you look at it, and, you can watch the movie and say, well, they're good performances and this and that. It's like, yeah, but if you're actually torturing these actors,
yeah,
where's the line?
Right.
He did the same thing on The Shining. He did the same. Like, it's like you go through all of his movies, and it's one after the other where he just was so inappropriate with the actors, just from putting them through hell.
Isn't there one that she was an actress and there was a sex scene or something like that? But anyways, she says, I was raped in that scene. Like, I was actually raped. This was not, he might say that this is a movie, but that's not what happened. I was raped. So like that thin line between, even if it's mentally, that you're doing that mentally to someone, you're mentally abusing them or whatever. What are you watching now?
And there's a philosophy out there that says, well, we need to push the limits of our performance into reality. Otherwise it won't be believable to the audience. And I absolutely don't believe that. Right. I believe, because we've proven it ourselves.
Yeah.
I believe that we can get to a very truthful and believable performance in a safe way.
Yeah.
Where we can step into that life. We're safe. We trust each other.
Yeah.
We're there for each other. And because of that trust, we're able to go to those deep levels and those places. But then when it's done, we disconnect.
Yes.
And we're not crossing that line between life and the art. They're two totally separate things. We go from life, we step into the art safely, together, collaboratively. And then when we're done, we step out.
And then the audience also, they use their belief system, if you will. So what I'm saying is they also put in their own brains, the audience. They put things inside of themselves to make the story even come more alive for them. That's going to make it more enticing, and individually, like the audience, the intelligence of the audience. So to take that away and say, well, they won't believe it unless we actually do it. It's like, well, they will do a lot. Like, the audiences are very smart, and they want to be engaged. And I don't think it takes much actually for them to feel anything, if you will, because I bring back when I was doing Say Goodnight Gracie, and there was the choreographed dance scene, if you will.
Right.
I didn't see it, or I wasn't playing it in any way. It was choreographed a certain way, and I'm having a great time. But audience members felt, let's say, some of them uncomfortable. Some of them told me that's fine, because I know some of them.
Right.
But I was like, wow, it didn't even dawn on me that that's how you're perceiving it. So the audience also uses their own mental faculties and imagination to absorb. When I watch a movie, the actors don't have to do much, especially on camera. But I know that, you don't need to go all the way there to actually assault someone to make it real. We can interpret that ourselves as an audience member when we see just enough that it's like, oh, it's real to us, is what I'm saying.
Well, in Say Goodnight Gracie, I mean, you had 11-minute sequence or whatever, but that whole big thing, which goes from, we went through a lot of different emotions, but it has it's an erotic part at the end, but we didn't do it in a way that was unhealthy.
Nope, it wasn't unhealthy. It was just a dance to me.
Right, it was a dance.
It's just that how the layers were put together with the music, with the words of the monologue, with the dance, and the emotion, all of that came together, and the audience picked up everything, and nothing was having to do like, Natalie, really do that. It's built. And I think that actually shows more skill than actually doing something.
Because we had to build it piece by piece by piece by piece.
It's all built. Hollywood is all, let's smoke and mirrors, or all what we do is to make the reality for the audience member feel that. But nobody's uncomfortable doing it. The actors aren't, the directors aren't. We're piecing that together, and that's a skill.
And I think until we get the new generation, hopefully, of better producers, directors, studio executives, things like that, until we have that new generation of that happening, to me, it starts with the working part of the industry, the actors and the crew and everything else saying, no, we're not going to be treated inappropriately anymore. And hopefully the new generation, like the young directors that are doing like short films and independent films, and they're going to film festivals. It's like start making your film safely. Have fun with your cast and crew, and show that it doesn't have to be this suffering type of process. And you don't have to treat people poorly to get things done. You don't have to yell and scream at people. Just have fun and collaborate. And I think the more we can see that, examples of that, it can start a new trend.
Yes.
But hopefully it starts a new trend and we don't have a continuation of, because I guess it's power.
It cycles.
Yeah, it cycles.
And
everything does come in cycles.
Goes back, and hopefully that it stays. But yeah, it's power. I think weak men in power. It's very dangerous.
Yeah. Oof. So this was the side conversation we had.
Side conversation,
not the topic we were going to have.
No, I'm going to erase it from the list now. Just kidding.
But interestingly enough, it was. So okay, so to finish this then, since we're all in on this and we're actually almost out of time, believe it or not. But what suggestions would you have to continue to change the industry, even at the level that you're at? What would you do to do that?
Oh my! I mean, that's a big question. What would I do? I'd lead by example.
Okay.
I want to see more women in charge. I just do.
Okay. All
right. I don't even know.
So maybe that needs to be.
I want to see more
women of power.
Yeah, and women that aren't like taking the old classical playbook from that perverse generation. I want modern women that are, done with it. It's garbage, because you have women in power that are also, they're pretending to be one of these guys, but they just so happen, to be a woman. And that's not fair too. You're like, oh, okay, I'm dealing, with the psychology of like, oh, you want to be like them, but
right.
So it's not healthy. So I want to see emotionally intelligent people be in these positions.
Emotional
intelligence. And women who are actors, producers, anybody who loves the arts that way. And I would want to see them put their skin in the game. I really think that we would benefit by seeing different types of stories and perspectives, because there's a lot of us that are quiet watching when we can actually be on the playing field.
So when you look at someone like Reese Witherspoon, who has their own production company making really good material, along with Jennifer Aniston, her production company. So they're doing like the morning show. They do Reese Witherspoon with Big Little Lies.
Yeah. Nicole Kidman's, but even at a shorter, you're talking about the short films and stuff like that, and the local and the independent. Like, I would like to see both sides come and meet, eventually at one place.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we have a responsibility too. Just because we're not at that level yet doesn't mean that we can, should sit back and watch the same old people do this stuff, when our voices, we were talking about this, like, I was like, I hear everyone else's opinion every day, constantly. And I don't say much. I'm just like, oh, okay, here's another person just touting what they want, just blatantly. So I just feel like there's women out there like me that it's like time to step in the ring, and we're good enough, and we're enough, as they would say, to have our points of view at least be seen and heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even on the lower rungs, we need more women.
Absolutely.
Directors, producers, cinematographers, writers.
Yes. I would love that. And any of the guys who want to come along, obviously, but I want to see that, like taking the reins, the confidence and all of that. That's what I'd like to see.
So more equality.
Yeah.
I mean,
not
really,
asking for much. Just get your foot off my neck.
Right. I guess right. Isn't that what we're talking about? More equality?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, I guess in the big leagues, until there's more emotionally, what'd you call it? Emotionally intelligent studio executives.
Right, but that's like an oxymoron, because it's about the money, and that's a whole different thing.
Yeah,
it's a whole different thing.
Corporate. But we can have emotionally intelligent directors, producers on the lower scale. I mean, we can start there. Theater.
Absolutely. And you know how much exploration we can have with material when you have those people that are confident, emotionally intelligent, open, and they have some background in the art form of training, oh my goodness, that's healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy.
That's why I think I did, not to open any can of worms or even get into this topic, but that's why I think I appreciate Taylor Swift so much.
Yeah.
Because she's somebody who's younger still. I mean,
Yeah.
to
She
me,
is
but,
young.
Well, everyone's young to me, but yeah, but it.
That's your song. Everybody's young to me.
That is my song. but I mean, but very powerful.
Yes.
But still doesn't. I haven't seen her sell herself short.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah.
Right. She's not selling out to the machine in the sense like she's not over sexualizing herself. She's not.
Yes.
She's not doing any of that, which is the old playbook.
Yeah.
She's doing it by her rules now, and she has a much harder time doing it than the male musicians.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's much more difficult for females to hold a longer career. But just because to stay relevant is much more difficult as a female than it is as a male. But she's doing it.
Yeah.
So to me, it's proof that it can be done.
Yes. And I think she has a good quality product at the end of the day, and she's not an asshole. Well, I don't know, but she's not doing things like these crazy guys are doing, the titties of the world, the diddies of the world. But she writes her own. She's a musician. She's a singer. So she also, at the same time, she's got a great product. She's not just
a great product.
Repeating herself over and over again on one loop, and it's she's not a one trick pony. She's the real deal. And I think people like that actually do, if they're mentally healthy, they do have long careers because you can't fake that. She's worked hard to get where she was. Yeah. And, you know, if she's writing, producing her own material, she's her own machine. Yeah. People need to sign up to be with her.
And whether you like the music or not,
right?
I'm talking more about the artist, not her music.
Yeah.
You know, Taylor Swift as an artist is somebody that I think the younger generations can look up to.
Yeah.
And say, well, that's a way to do it and do it with class.
Yeah. Start writing. Start playing an instrument. Yeah. And I mean that so that you are always, there's no one that you need to go to. And that's just for singing, if you will. But if you're your own writer, you make your own music, nobody can ever take that away from you. So you have that always. You don't have to sell out, especially if it's, successful, but you can always be in charge of what you do. Yeah. Somehow, instead of having someone else take the reins, no.
Yeah. Same thing with the success of Billie Eilish.
Yes.
Who's I know has gone through a lot of mental health issues, but still other things, but still very successful, just staying in her own lane. Yeah. And not just falling into what she's supposed to do or what someone else is telling her to do. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And she's a writer too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Very successful.
She likes spiders. That's how I saw her. Did you ever see the video where she has a spider? I fell in love. I was like, wow. It was, no. She tripped me out with that one.
No. Can't do spiders.
All in the mouth, Marco. Ooh.
Oof. No. All right. So so this was not our topic today, but it became our topic today. And I think it was a good one.
I think it was a good one. That's a lot of crazy stuff that's happening out there, but
so the biggest thing for all of you out there is listen, in this industry, you have to keep yourself safe. Don't put up with anything. If you're on set, if you're working on a project, don't put up with bad behavior. Don't let anyone treat you poorly. You have to speak up for yourself. Yeah. You have to keep yourself safe. There are plenty of productions and people in the industry that are good people. Mm-hmm. And when you work with them, your art just goes further. Mm-hmm. So we just got to look out for each other then.
Absolutely. See something, say something.
Yeah.
And be honest.
Yes. Be honest.
Be honest.
That's a very important part of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, Nat. Thanks, for exploring
Marco.
This tangent that we went on today.
We did. You're welcome.
It was very fun.
It was.
Yes. So, all right, everyone. Well, I hope you are all doing well. Please remember, reward yourself for the risks that you take and treat yourself with kindness. And until next time, we'll see you.
Bye.
If you'd like to learn more about our studio and what we do, you can find us online at truthfulacting.com. And check out truthfulactingonline.com for our Learn at Home at Your Own Pace courses.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
I know what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to free your mind, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.